Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld, and today I'm doing my 4K subscriber Q&A. It's hard to believe I'm actually making this video. Honestly, I didn't think I'd even reach 1K subs, but it seems like you guys are actually interested in my videos, so thanks a lot for sticking around and helping this channel to grow to where it is today. I've posted almost 200 videos now, and in the last year I've chatted to a whole bunch of you guys, but I still feel like you guys don't know a whole lot about me, which is why I wanted to make this video. In response to my last video, a ton of you guys submitted questions for this Q&A, so thanks heaps for that, and hopefully you guys learned something new. But anyway, to kick off, the first question comes from Average Gaming, who writes, "Did you ever play Battlefield Bad Company 2, and what did you think?" Well, yes, I actually did play Battlefield Bad Company 2 back on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. I really love this game, and I recently just bought it again for the PC, so if you guys want to see some Bad Company 2 footage, then please let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to post some more videos on this game in the future. Okay, so question number 2 comes from Mr. Snubbus, who writes, "What do you think about Far Cry 4? Well, to be honest, I don't know really what I think about Far Cry 4 just yet, because I haven't really read up on it or seen a lot of videos about it, but I really did like Far Cry 3, and I will be buying Far Cry 4. I'm pretty keen, and I'm just keen to see what it's like, because I really don't know too much about the game." And the next question comes from Wixie on PS4, who writes, "What are your hopes for BF4 going forward, and what do you hope that they bring to the table with Hardline?" Well, to be honest, Battlefield 4 is obviously on its last legs now, so I don't really hope too much for it. I just hope that BF4 is still going to get played after Hardline is released. Now, as for Hardline, I just hope that it's a solid game from launch, and I hope that it's got a fun single player as well, because it's been quite some time since there's been a good single player in the Battlefield franchise. And the next question comes from Simo Heikkinen, who writes, "How did you get introduced to gaming, and what was your first game and the platform to play it?" Well, to be honest, I can't actually remember, but I do know that throughout most of the 90s when I was growing up, I was playing on a PC. The first PC that I ever had was an IBM 286, and the first PC game that I can actually remember playing was probably Wolfenstein 3D. Now, my first console was probably a Nintendo Game Boy, and on that I think I had Tetris, and I also had Super Mario Land, and I can remember shortly after getting Pokemon, which I absolutely played to death. Okay, so the next question comes from No Chum Fairman, I think that's how you pronounce it, and he writes, "Is YouTube your only job?" Well, to be honest, YouTube really isn't a job, and I'm killing a lot of the questions that I got asked with this one particular answer, so if you did ask this question or something like this question, here you go. Basically, YouTube isn't really a job for me, it's just a hobby. I don't really make a lot of money from it, and maybe I will in the future, but at this point I actually work as a music tutor and a sound engineer as well, and yeah, basically YouTube is just for fun. So the next question comes from Coldboy33, who writes, "Do you have a girlfriend/wife?" Well, I actually have neither. I just recently broke up with a girl probably about 6 weeks to 2 months ago, and I'm currently single, and it's friggin' amazing. It is so much better. You have no idea. It seems so great to have a girlfriend, and then you realize how great it is to be single when you're young. So all I can say is, look, just enjoy your 20s, enjoy your 30s if you really need to, and just spend some time enjoying life and settle down later on in life. And the next question comes from Max Monahan, who writes, "Do you surf in Australia? Because I did, but I moved. Best thing ever to do." Well, actually, no, I don't surf, and to be honest, I don't think I've ever surfed, ever. I used to ride BMX when I was in high school, and I did that probably more than I do anything now. It was a really big thing in my life at the time, but I never got into surfing, even though my 2 brothers did at the time. Okay, so the next question comes from Jake Morgan, who writes, "What is your honest opinion of the competition level between PS4 and PC?" Well, this is a tricky question because I think it really depends on the game that you're playing. You also have to bear in mind that there's a big difference between a controller and a mouse and keyboard as well, so that makes a really big difference when it comes to actually playing the game. As for the raw skill of players, well, I think that if you are willing to go out and spend thousands of dollars on a PC, then you're a pretty hardcore gamer, and I would think that that player would be better than a person that's just a casual gamer on a console. Obviously, there is going to be exceptions to the rule, and there is going to be good and bad players on both platforms, but if I really had to make a guess, I would probably say that there are more skilled players on the PC. And the next question comes from Ollie is Small, who writes, why do you have an obsession with Bruce Willis? Well, my question to you, Ollie, is why don't you? Okay, so the next question comes from Roy Burkhoff, who writes, why did you buy the PS4 instead of the Xbox One? Well, this is an easy question. Number one, Microsoft was always going to sell less Xboxes because of the issues they had at E3 2013. And number two, the PS4 has got better specs. It runs games like Battlefield 4 at a higher resolution and a higher frame rate. And the next question is a nice easy one from Useful Cheese. How old are you? I am 26. So the next question is a really good one. It's from Beat Strand PS4 Gamer, who writes, I assumed that you were a big BillyEatWorld fan, so my question is, which album is the best and why? Well, they're all pretty good, man, but I really like Bleed American because it just has all hit songs. They're just really great songs, and I could listen to that album all day. And if you guys haven't listened to it yet, then definitely give it a go. Okay, so coming up next from Telly Toby, have you ever considered playing on PC and why did you go for the console? Well, I actually do play on PC. I've got a pretty decent PC now that I play Battlefield 4 on, and I also play a bunch of other games, mainly real-time strategy games. And why did I go for the console? Well, to be honest, I just like to play on a controller. I still probably play Battlefield 4 on PS4 more than I play it on PC, so that gives you an idea about the platform that I prefer. And even though the PC is better in terms of specs, I just prefer to sit down and enjoy a console with all of my friends that are already on the PS4. Okay, so the next question is from Shinzo Moon, who has actually got a few questions in this comment, but the first one is, whereabouts in Oz are you from? I'm from Newcastle in New South Wales. So the next question comes from Boombla Poljak, who writes, why don't you respond to messages on your PSN? Well, to be honest, man, I actually get so many messages on PSN, and it makes it hard to reply to them all. I also keep my notifications turned off 99.9% of the time when I'm recording, so I don't even see them when they first pop up. If you really do want to get a hold of me, just add me on Twitter at BillyEatWorld, because I'm much more likely to respond on there. Okay, so the next question comes from a guy with such a great YouTube name, Gaming Little Shit, who writes, are you going to do a Sims 4 Let's Play? Well, I'd like to, but to be honest, I haven't played The Sims since about Sims 1, and I don't really do Let's Plays. So, man, if I had unlimited time, I probably would. And if I had a copy of the game, I might even consider it, but at this stage, I don't even think that I'm going to buy the game, at least until it's come a lot down in price. And I'm into that sort of style gaming again. Now, this is a really good question because I probably would have talked about it in my outro anyway, so thank you Ali the Wolf for bringing this up. What was your reason for making YouTube videos and what got you this far? Well, honestly, I just love gaming and I spend a lot of time gaming, so I just wanted to do something productive with that time. I also work in a recording studio, so I have access to a lot of editing software and recording equipment, so it just made sense to make YouTube videos. Now, as for what's got me this far, well, that's pretty simple. You guys have got me this far, and of course, a lot of hard work. Okay, so the next question comes from Quentin Firefields, who writes, how's your band doing and what's your favourite class/weapon setup for whatever situation? Well, my band is going really well. We're not doing a lot at the moment, but we are working on a new single and we'll be heading out and touring again next year. Now, as for my favourite class/weapon setup, well, if you guys have watched any of my videos at all, you'd know that I use the Assault class probably more than anything else. I really like the Recon class as well, but if I had to say one was my favourite, I'd say that I love the Assault class with the M16A4. I've been using it a lot with the Vert Grip or the Ergo Grip now, the Hollow Sight, probably the Magnifier, just a flash hider on the barrel, and for gadgets I normally just run with the Med Bag and the Noob Tube. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of these questions now. This video has ended up being a lot bigger than I thought it would be, but anyway, next on the list is Chris Nakochi, who's written, what older games do you think deserve a remake? Personally, I'd love to see Resident Evil 3 and Doom properly remade. Well, that's a really tricky question. I'd probably like to see Baldur's Gate 1 or 2 remade. They're like an isometric RPG game from the late 90s. Really love those games, probably my favourite games of all time. Okay, so the next question comes from Dylan Biku. What other games will you be playing in the coming year? And congrats on nearly 4K subs. Well, thanks, man. And in terms of the games that I'll be playing in the next coming year, well, probably Battlefront, obviously, Hardline, obviously. I really want to play The Division. I really want to play Far Cry 4. Might even play a bit of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. We'll see how we go. And next is a really good question from Scorpius BF. PC or console, where is your gaming experience in FPS better? Not asking about price/value, etc, etc, pure gaming experience. Wow, that's a really good question. In terms of Battlefield 4, I would say I definitely prefer the console just because of the controller. If you're going for just graphics, definitely the PC. It definitely looks a bit more polished and a bit smoother. But at the end of the day, I still prefer the console because of the social experience and also obviously because of the controller. And I've got to say that this next question is probably my favourite. It's from Luke Smith. If you were in a zombie apocalypse, what primary and secondary gun would you take? Now, I'm assuming you're talking about weapons from Battlefield 4, so if I had to pick a weapon from that game, I'd probably pick the M40A5, basically because it's almost exactly the same as a Remington 700, which is a very popular bolt-action rifle no matter where you are in the world. It also fires the very popular .308 Winchester round, so it shouldn't be too hard to find ammunition, even if it's not quite as popular as something like the .22 long rifle round. Now, as for a secondary, I'd probably have to go with the Shorty because I feel like it's going to be a lot easier to find 12 gauge shells than it is to find any sort of pistol ammo in Australia, considering pistols are only really legal if you're a sporting shooter or part of military or law enforcement. And the next question comes from Robert Diro Yolo, who wants to know if I have a pet and what it's called. Well, no, I actually don't have a pet. I had fish and a bird until recently, but they kind of didn't survive. I've owned plenty of dogs throughout my life and hope to get a dog sometime in the near future, but at the moment, no, I don't have any pets. Okay, so the next question comes from Rachni M. What would you do with $1 million? Well, that is a question that I've thought about many times, and I keep coming back to the same two options. Number one, I just get $1 coins and roll in it. And number two, I just buy 500,000 McDonald's cheeseburgers. Okay, so I think we're finally down to the last two questions. This one's from Zero Defilade, who writes, why don't more people play hardcore Battlefield? Well, to be honest, man, I think it's just difficult. I mean, all of my friends don't really play it because every time we do play it, you just get shot up all the time. And sure, you get kills very easily, but if there's a good player in the server, you're probably not even going to see them before they've taken you out. And honestly, you've got to have some skills to be able to play it well. And last but not least is Blue Phoenix, who writes, will you be doing a subscriber special where you play with us in Battlefield? Man, I really would like to do that, and I've been thinking about doing that for quite some time. The only issue is I don't really know how I would do it. So all I can say is if you want to be in one of my videos, all you have to do is add me on Origin or PSN or Steam or Xbox Live or whatever you have. All my accounts are BillyEatWorld, and just jump in a server with me. You don't even have to ask permission, just jump in, and as long as you don't annoy me, then you might end up in a video. But anyway, I guess that just about wraps up this Q&A. I hope you guys have learned something, and I hope that I can do this kind of thing again in the future. Once again, thanks to you all for 4K subs. I couldn't have done it without you guys, and here's to 5K subs, which looks like it's just around the corner. But anyway, as always, if you like what you see, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, please check out all my other Battlefield 4 videos. I've got them all linked in a playlist in the description below. But until next time, see you later, and have a good one.